Hola, welcome back to Learning Language, Cognados Falsos dos. We'll be again just continue to work through the translations on false cognates on the advanced idioms and vocabulary chart of Spark Notes. I've already translated all of them. We'll go through again some commentary. But again, the same thing we've said a bunch of times. Context, spelling a word constructs a variable. Context defines that variable. Context also differentiates those variables. So just in general, in all languages, all contexts, context differentiates a variable. Synonyms are used in similar contexts. And how does base and range apply to synonyms and antonyms? If a given subject, if a given verb is our base, how do the concepts of base and range apply to synonyms and antonyms? Synonyms would always be close to the base, and antonyms would be opposite of the base. So those are kind of like the big ideas I want to have in your head. Just a couple prepositions. First of all, what do people mean by cognates? Right here it says, the following words are often mistaken because they appear to be cognates but are not. For example, actual in Spanish means current. Real Spanish word for the English actual is efectivo or verdadero. All Spanish words on the table are bold. So let's say similar sounds or similar letters, right? We've talked about the preservation of pronunciation, syllability, literally expanding syllable by syllables. So when I think cognate, I think sound cognates, not even letters, right? Spelling a word constructs a variable. It limits the definition. So a cognate to me is something of similar sound. So, and again, if you look up any of these and it's one-to-one, this word to that word in the dictionary, it's just, again, the context changing. But starting, I'll just read what they have and just keep working through the different ones. Chocar, to crash or to shock, they have. Chocar, to bump, collide, clash, shock, wreck. All words to impact. Choke. They have the cognate, they say it's choke. Chocar, choke. Again, similar sound, but choking is not similar to impact. But for choke would translate to, in the context of suffocation, ahogarse. And I have plus, just mean there's a bunch of different definitions. But when you're looking at a dictionary, right, for choke from the English to Spanish, of suffocate in parentheses. And that's what I mean is synonyms are used in similar context. When I'm going through these different cognates or alleged cognates, I'm just saying, each time I look up a given word directly in dictionary in the right context, the other words that are in the dictionary around them are going to be applicable to similar contexts. It'll be more clear with better examples down the line. We'll only do about 10 today. But asfixiarse, I don't think you pronounce the X in Spanish, asfixiarse. Again, they have the one personal pronoun, to suffocate, to smother. Crash, estrellarse. Shock, choke. Choke. And they have to choke as asfixiarse, and chocar to crash and to shock. Again, I would agree that's a similar sound cognate, not letter cognate, and the chocar is just to impact is the general category I place it. Collar, right? This is the cognate is collar in English, collar, but double L in Spanish, yard, collar. As an English speaker, I would not hear collar at all, 0%. So that would not be a sound cognate at all. And again, sound cognates are more cognates than letters, but clearly literally the same letters. So collar, Spanish, they have that goes to necklace. Cuello. El cuello is neck. So when they have English or Spanish, they have collar as cuello. No, cuello is neck. But collar into Spanish, it has cuello para gente, pero collar para perros. Collar para perros. The first definition you look up in the Spanish dictionary for collar or collar, you'll get a reference to animals, like a dog collar. So again, the context of necklace versus dogs. I think dog is the first one in there. Necklace had no translation at all, not even on Google. So if I had to translate it, there would be a couple things. I would say cordón or cordón de cuello, cord of the neck, cord or encaje, thread, lace. Right, if you look up lace in reference to cloth, you would get encaje. And so if I thought cloth of the neck or cord of the neck, of the neck would strike me as more of a necklace, but encaje de cuello would still strike me as a necklace, or can just in context make sense. But they also had like cordón, bordar con encaje, bordar, embroidering with lace. So again, necklace doesn't really imply necessarily lace, just lace, like thread or like maybe lingerie or nice lace tablecloth might have, laced cloth. So how would you say necklace in Spanish? Brad, say something. I would say cordón de cuello. Did they even have collar? No, they didn't provide a translation for necklace on here. Complexión or complexion, complexión. Yeah, complexión. Like X kind of airs to a slight H consonants. So complexión, assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly. Again, not even close for the sound cognates. Letters obviously look the same. But complexión in Espanol to Spanish or to English is build. They have constitution or temperament. No bueno. Tez is complexion, dictionary definition. Complexion, English to Spanish, it says skin, again parentheses, in reference to skin, cutis, and in reference to color, tez. Which is all kind of interesting to me, because if you just said complexion English, I would think the color of your skin as well. So differentiating color from skin, why did they do that? Don't know. Complexión is build. Again, what are you made of? What are your constituents? That's kind of where they get constitution. Temperament. That is temperamento. Again, literally just temperamento. Same spelling, Spanish pronunciation. Constitution, constitución. So again, just some sort of context differentiating build or structure away from color. But again, when they say in the complexion, English to Spanish, skin, cutis, and color, taste. As an English speaker, if you said he's got a good complexion or bad complexion, I would think both skin and color kind of already combined. Make sure I'm still rolling. Next we have on the Spark Notes chart, it says compromiso is obligation and compromise is acuerdo mutuo arreglo. So compromiso directly in the dictionary translates to commitment first, then agreement, then appointment, then engagement. Acuerdo mutuo goes, well, my translation again from the last one, acuerdo, did some good research on that word. Again, acordar, the yo conjugated, but accordance mutual is what it translates to literally. Arreglo, arrangement, obligation, obligación, compromise. Arreglo por concesiones. Arreglo, arrangement by consensus, by concessions, excuse me, to concede by concessions, compromise, mutuas. But then it also says compromiso. So again on here it says these are false cognates, but then when you look up, right, it says compromiso is obligation, and compromise, when you look up from English to Spanish, the fourth definition, or the second one, I think there's a couple other ones I didn't write down, but it literally says compromiso. So when you feel saying they're false, Cognados Falsos, and then it's one-to-one in the dictionary, not one-to-one, but it's a listed definition in the dictionary, it's again, people agreeing that words mean something that they don't. Saying dark energy is a valid physical concept. Saying dark matter is a valid physical concept. They're not. And then people don't know what to say, so they say, yep, that's what it means. And then you just kind of sit there. Next one, constipación, constipation. Again, constipación. I don't think a native English speaker would hear constipation from that. But constipación, literally Spanish to English was one-to-one for constipation. I think it was the first definition. There might have been another one, but it was listed. So for constipation, they have estreñimiento. Estreñimiento. To expend yourself, to extrain yourself. But it is estreñimiento also had one-to-one with constipation, and it had male. Cold is frío, todo. Right? I have a cold. That is an English idiom, kind of. It's kind of literal, right? If your body temperature is less than 98.6, you're literally colder than normal than base. But I have a cold is like, right? If you're talking literally, you would say I am cold, or estoy. I'm cold for now. Estoy frío. But I have a cold is just a reference to temperature in English. It's just an English idiom, right? Of course. What course? I have a cold. What? Illness. What did they have? But for constipación, right, they have cold and illness. Constipation is typically a symptom of colds or illnesses. But for illness, it went for enfermedad. Enfermedad, the infirmary. In constipation, they did have as estreñimiento. And so again, the word estreñimiento is just more specific to a given context. Certainly more, again, specific to constipation, but what function? Sickness, strain, stress, disembowelment, and just differentiation of function. Next one. Contestar. They have to answer, to reply, and then English to contest, refutar. Contestar, dictionary, and anything that I translate out of the dictionary I've agreed with. To answer, talk back to mouth off. I have all idioms. So contestar, again, to contest might not necessarily mean like insubordination or disrespect in a conversation. But contestar, refutar, to refute, literally refuting. And again, I'm using the two translations, but the ing is the correct without a subject. Out of context, I don't know. That's why I default to the twos as well. But contest as a verb, which means obviously like to compete. Contendar, challenge, impugnar. Answer as a verb with like no emotion implied. If someone said, hey, can you give me an answer? Like I said, that's not good, that's not bad, that's not contesting, that's not refuting, that's a statement, just respond. So I have no emotion implied. Respuesta. See, an answer is a respuesta. Reply, I have as a verb, replicar, contestar, as a noun, replica, contestación. So anything there? Again, they're just saying contesting, right? Contest, there's the more general, right? To contest in English kind of implies, again, to refute, to challenge. But in English, contestar, respuesta is just an answer. So that's answer and reply. So contestar, again, is just less specific to contest or to challenging, to refuting, to disagreement, something like that. Next one, convenir. They have to agree, to fit, to suit. And in the English, they have to convene as the cognate, and convocar in Spanish. Convenir, to be suitable. And they gave in the dictionary, ser apropiado, being appropriate. But then I also have clearly venir, is clearly coming. Convenir is clearly with coming, literally in Spanish. To be suitable. Be suitable for whatever you're with coming. Convocar, convoking. I think it's literally what they added in the dictionary. I wrote it down wrong. That doesn't mean anything in English to me. Calling together, convening, to convene. Convocar, reunirse. Reunirse. Reunite. Agree as a verb. The first thing was estar de acuerdo. Again, we've talked about that extensively, and I have no convincing translation, specifically for agree as a verb. Agreeing. Estar being of accordance is estar de acuerdo. Fit, like an, I don't know, a fit outfit to the body. I'm not sure, and I think that's it. They have que darle bien a alguien. I think that's like an outfit fitting to somebody. Que darle, didn't look up, but fits well to someone. And I had no convincing translation for verb from fit English to Spanish. And then suit, that suits you, that fits you. Both make sense in English, differentiated context. Suit as a verb, it has adaptar, ajustar, satisfacer. Adaptar, adapting, ajustar, adjusting, satisfacer, satisfying. So I had no convincing translation for that. Let me keep going, and we have 3 more. Next we have decepción, and they have to English as disappointment, and they have deception to engaño. Decepción, alright, so that would be a sound cognate, I would agree with that, and clearly a letter cognate, so I would say that's a good cognate. Decepción, deception, I think that sounds close. But decepción in dictionary had disappointment, engaño, deceit or deception. Then I translated deceit and said trampa. I said trap or snare. Disappointment, decepción, desilusión, delusion. But again, delusion in the context of like not a crazy person being having delusion, but just being, right, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed, Joni. Don't be an artist, be an engineer and a lawyer. Be a good scientist. Work hard, have that good career. Desilusión. Deception was engaño. And then I just have context differentiating variables. Again, like that one again, sound cognate, letter cognate to me, agree. The definition that really differentiates this is deceit to trampa, trap, snare. That implies more like adversaries. Someone's trying to trap you, snare you, deceive you. Engaño, decepción, sounds just more of like general disappointment. Agreed. But engaño is the specificity out of this context. Next one, delito. They have crime. They like so delito and then delight. I would not have delight and delito as cognates, sound cognates at all, or as letter cognates. Kind of similar, but it just doesn't strike me as similar. And then they have for the delight, English to Spanish, delight, deleite. Does that strike me as a cognate? Deleite? No. Delito, crime, offense. Again, that does not strike me as delight at all. Delight, deleite, regalo is also in there. Regalo is a present or a gift more specifically. So I don't know, in the context of a birthday party, enthusiasm. English to Spanish, or I jumped around here, crime is delito. And then they have act of violence against people, so more specific to a person. So maybe delito, again, just crime or offense, would be property damage as opposed to specifically to another person, as like the origin, etymology of why this got differentiated. Crimen for crime, and crimen, clearly letter cognate and more of a sound cognate than delito to crime, or delito to delight to me. But right, if delito is crime and they say delight, it could be again some sort of extreme irony, right? If you're standing outside your house and it's burning down, like, oh, this is so delightful. I mean, it could just be like an origin of extreme irony as well. But again, I have, and then deleite, they have as delight. I just have not clear sound or letter cognates to me, context differentiating variables, and how extreme the different contexts are. Right? Crime and offense, it doesn't simply take you as a delightful thing. Right? So to me, that's why I think that one has like a irony origin. Last one. No, second to last one I lied. Desgracia. Spanish, they have the English misfortune. Disgrace, vergüenza. I have, why is there the double dot? Where did that come from for vergüenza? Very confident, 85 to 90%. The only natural accent in Spanish is just the accent up. So linguistically, where does vergüenza get that U double dot from? Desgracia, misfortune, in the context of infortunio, unfortunate. And they have the example caer en, which they translate to fall into disgrace. So another example of saying desgracia is a cognate to, is not defined as disgrace. Then you look it up in the dictionary and there's a literally example with disgrace. Vergüenza, shame, I might have written that down wrong. The Spanish cognate for humiliation, humillación. I think I'm missing a vowel. I think I just spelled it wrong on my paper. But like humiliation is the context for shame for vergüenza, and desgracia is just more general, again, not as emotionally charged. Escandalo, I don't know what that was. I didn't look that up, but they have that as disgrace as well. When you look up disgrace, it says dishonor. Deshorna, which is not part of the listed ones for the Spanish. And then for shame, it has vergüenza. So shame versus dishonor, right? If you're in the military and you go murder a bunch of people, it's more dishonorable than, well, it's shameful and dishonorable. But to me, shame, in this context, implies like a bitch. Like, oh, I'm so pathetic, I'm just going to do something shameful and hope nobody sees. Whereas dishonor just strikes me as someone says, I don't give a fuck. That's kind of the contextual change for me. Misfortune, desgracia, desdicha, desventura. And I didn't look up the different ones, but this is where I have similar context, use similar words. The real, and again with all of these, but this was apparent in this one, right? You'll say, right, misfortune translates desgracia, desgracia, desdicha, desventura. So whenever you start using these words more, you're going to be more likely to say desgracia, right? Vergüenza would be more specific, again, shame, humiliation, emotion. Whereas in desgracia it would be general misfortune or mishap. So again, more specificity. Last one for this episode, desmeo. That kind of sounds like dismay. I'm thinking that's what the cognate is. I agree with that for sound. But desmeo, it says faint. I look it up in the dictionary, it says dismeo, faint, or swoon. English words, those are kind of interesting to me. Swoons, like if I'm going to swoon a girl or something. Faint, the first thing I think of is like passing out, losing consciousness. So in the dictionary they said peleo, sing, without. Peleo, didn't check the translation. He said he fought unflaggingly. So, again, faint or swoon, fighting without, faint or swoon doesn't even make sense by their own definitions. Dismay, I don't know. They have as consternación. Consternación, clearly linguistically sound as consternation. Look that up in the English dictionary, or Spanish to English, and it says consternation. Just off the top of my head, what's a synonym for consternation? I don't know. I really don't know what that word means in English. Then it has dismay. I said synonyms in English. I don't know. But faint, like again, if you just said faint to me, no context, anything, I'm going to think passing out, losing your consciousness. Faint, when I looked it up in the dictionary, it just had like adjective, not a verb. Sound, debile, like decibel, light, tenu, image, bago, as a verb, and then there's like 5 definitions later. It says desmayarse, So desmeo, desmayarse, again with the reflexive verb at the end, or pronoun at the end. Dismay, they have to disappoint, which I agree with logically is the first definition, is consternar. Daunt, desalentar, daunting, challenging. Right, if I saw a big cliff and it was daunting, I might be at dismay. El contexto, loss of courage, desaliento me gusta. The context, loss of courage, desaliento, pleases me. Me, it pleases. Why did I write that? Again, daunting, big mountain cliff, you're going to lose courage. Disappointment, you can be disappointed in a lot of different contexts. So that's kind of thinking where I'm getting the context differentiated there. Dismay as, again, general disappointment. Again, being translated to faint or swoon, faint as in light or faint as in not, poignant, and swoon, interesting to me. So again, in general, how does base and range apply to synonyms and antonyms? That's what I have for today. Hope you enjoyed something, learned something about translation, and enjoyed learning language. Cognados Falsos. Adios.